So talk about what to do when there's a new release. And last time you and I talked, we talked about maybe not jumping into every new release, maybe waiting, right, until things cool down a little bit and taking notes, taking notes about what's happening and then timing the market a little bit better. But I want to talk to you about Prizm 2021. It is the hot new release, and it's not just the hot new release. It's actually most of the time the most investable release for the long term. So with that said, in your mind, are there any Prizm 2021 cards that are worth buying right now, even though it just came out a couple weeks ago?
I do believe there are, and let me explain why. So this is a product like you're talking about. It's like the king set in the hobby, especially for football, but I think basketball too, really. And there's been a lot of talk on social media about how the hit rate is super low in retail boxes, blaster boxes, hangers, mega boxes. They don't actually guarantee an autograph or even give you the chance of pulling an autograph in these retail boxes. So those cards are left to the hobby only boxes, which are on average are reselling like $1,600. And of course, then you have, some people concerned about the printing issues, like more off centering and stuff. But I've seen thousands of singles transactions this week alone. And I think right now is a good time to dive in at a certain level. Let me explain. The hanger boxes. The hanger boxes actually come with a short print parallel of the base photo. And this card is actually considerably more rare. I actually counted up the transactions for several of the quarterbacks, starting with Trevor Lawrence. And what I did was this week I found, I found 18 short of base silver Prizm cards for Trevor Lawrence selling on eBay from anywhere between $100 to $185. And then I found the short print variation. There was only 12 of those. And this is a card that is apparently, from everything I understand and people I've talked to in the community, is only printed in the hanger boxes. And it's and there was, so you can think about the scarcity of that. And that card right now is currently reselling for the same as the base silver variation. And I've cross-checked this against several of our kind of favorite targets for 2022 season. And I'm seeing the same thing across the board. And I think it's people aren't realizing that this is, in fact, a short print photo variation of the base card, kind of like they did in 2012. And if you're really not dialed in and paying attention, you don't really know that that is the short print photo variation, that when all the dust settles, those cards are going to be considerably more valuable than the base ones. And right now, for almost all of these 2021 rookies that we're going to talk about today, the short print photo variation is selling for less or the same as the base silver variation. I can't hear you, Paul. I don't know what happened.
Oh, there we go. I had my mic muted. Sorry about that, everybody. Yeah, that's super interesting. Something to pay attention to. Only available in the hanger boxes, short print photo variation. Andy thinks they're going to be investable long term, so I really like that as a play. Do you know how much are the hanger boxes going for retail, and can you get that? Can you get them? Are they available? I know retail's hit and miss depending on where you live and all that stuff, but are they reselling on the secondary market for an affordable price point?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I found a ton of boxes selling for 2021 Prizm, mostly the blasters. The hangers in retail stores resell for about $20 to $25. Let me look real quick on eBay. I want to say they're going for about 40 or 50. Yeah, they're actually going for about $45, $50 on secondary marketplace. And that's about the same price as the blaster box. And I think that's because, maybe these retail flippers and stuff and people reselling hangers are realizing that they have this short print photo variation in this hanger boxes. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. That's a better price point than getting the blaster. If you're going to buy retail Prizm, go for the hanger boxes. So that's a hot take for you there. Like, for example, I'm really bullish on Travis Etienne this year. Absolutely love Travis Etienne. with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's got the whole college connection with Trevor Lawrence. Also, he was incredible with Trevor Lawrence and Clemson in the 2018 championship. I mean, if you look at the first play of that ACC championship game against Pitt, he broke off a 75-yard touchdown run, the very first play from scrimmage, where he was literally running away from a loaded box of defenders. So that's the kind of stuff that Travis Etienne can give you. Then he came back. He could have early declared for the draft, but he came back to play one more year with Trevor and ended up putting up some really good receiving numbers to show that he's got that all-purpose skill set. He's extremely explosive and agile and has 4.4 speed. And so he missed his entire rookie season with that Liz Frank foot fracture. He's now coming back. We get a new offense, some new weapons. But, I mean, just the whole life that Doug Peterson should breathe into that team. And then you look at their opening schedule. They play the Commanders week 1. So I absolutely love this matchup. And with James Robinson likely to still be kind of injured or limited starting the season, I've already seen footage from Travis Etienne running drills at camp, and he looks like right back to that Clemson form where he actually led the entire NCAA in 2019 in broken tackles. So this guy is incredibly explosive. And right now you can get his Silver Prizm short print photo variation for $15, the same as the base variation. And his Silver Prizm auto is about $75. Now, I think that $75 for that Silver Prizm auto is a little steep in my opinion because it's a sticker auto and it's not serial numbered. I'd rather like try and target his Optic Contenders rookie ticket auto for less if I can find it. Like if I can get that card for around 40, then I would be really happy with that. Even not serial number, because Optic Contenders is a hobby only product and it's one pack of 6 cards. And so it just makes that card that much more scarce, and it's going to be an on-card autograph when you get that there. So that's some of the things I like around ETN and his Prizm product right now.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in here and tell you that I'm super excited to hear you say that about Travis Etienne. I made a call last October to myself, and I put my money where my mouth is. I might have put out a piece of content about it. I don't know. But put my money where my mouth is and got about 3 or 4 Travis Etienne RPAs. Nothing special, but I got them all for under $30. And I'm hoping that even though they're like certified in black and they're the kind of the cheaper releases, they are nice looking cards with the patch auto in them. And I just think if he pops off, like you're saying he possibly can, then I'm looking to sell him pretty early on in the season based on that Jaguar schedule. So I took a shot in the dark, not knowing what the Jaguars would do in 2021, not knowing what the Jaguars schedule would be in 2022, not knowing if Travis Etienne would come back full strength in 2022, but knowing that, okay, the 30th overall pick, I think he was, there could be a lot of hype around him. And I saw it as an opportunity while he was out to get his rookie patch autos at a discount. So Toa also likes the ETN play. Pumped about that. We have him number 30 on our sports card investment report, so we'll get to that later. And before we go to your next nugget of phenomenal information, Toa, let's take Toa's question real quick. So he thinks Zach Wilson short print parallels are a good buy, and his prices have been low compared to everyone else in last year's QB class. Andy, what do you think of Zach Wilson? Are you a Zach Wilson guy, or are you avoiding Zach?
Man, all right. So I like the hype that Zach Wilson has got coming into this season, especially with them drafting Garrett Wilson in the first round, drafting Breece Hall in the second round. They've got Elijah Moore. Really big fan of Elijah Moore. I mean, he was incredible at Oklahoma. He's also got like a really good win rate in all the routes that he runs. So our Ole Miss, I misspoke on Elijah Moore's college, Ole Miss, but he was a 99th percentile target share at Ole Miss. So I like the weapons he's got. I even like Michael Carter too, who a lot of people don't realize led the backfield at University of North Carolina over Javonte Williams until his senior year, and they still split touches, and Michael Carter was still productive in a backfield with Javonte Williams. So I still think there's opportunity for Michael Carter in that receiving role as well. But let's look at the Jets' opening schedule. Ravens at home, Browns away, and then the Bengals at home. All 3 teams have above average defenses, And the Ravens dramatically improved their defense this offseason through free agency and the draft. And I think we're going to, obviously, they've got some of the best coaching in the league. The Bengals defense was solid. They've put in more pieces through the draft and free agency. The Browns secondary has been getting better and better. Of course, they've got Myles Garrett and some other pieces in the trenches on defense. So, their opening schedule is not favorable at all. That's tough, man. So I could easily see the Jets, struggling out of the gates, which kind of leads me to think, okay, the best time to buy Zach Wilson, even though, yeah, he is cheaper than Trey Lance, Mac Jones. He's cheaper than Trevor Lawrence. He's probably around that same price point now as Justin Fields. But I still think that his prices may get lower in like November. So I'm very hesitant to buy Zach Wilson. Now, I do like the potential to buy Zach Wilson and then flip him in August, like flip him going into that week one. Maybe he has some good flashes because he does have an incredibly zippy arm. Like his arm is incredible. He can throw the ball further than a lot of other quarterbacks in the league. There's no question about that. But that opening schedule is tough, and it's going to be hard for him to win games. So I'd be looking to flip him heading into week one.
Yeah, that's another interesting play. I like that, where if you know a guy is lower than other quarterbacks right now and he's going to get a lot of media coverage, a lot of hype, playing in New York. That's the thing I like about football is you can kind of actually time it to where you don't even really need them to perform on the field, especially if they're a quarterback. So a guy like Zach Wilson, I think, probably fits in that category. So good question, Toa. We appreciate that. Shout out Ziggy. Ziggy's watching the live broadcast. Good seeing you. Change your username to Sports Card Show. So wondering, do I have to call you Sports Card Show now, or can I still call you Ziggy? No, I'm not sure. But good to see you, my man. Appreciate it. Let us know if you have any questions for Andy or I. Okay, one more question here before I want to keep the talk going on Prizm, because I got a couple more to tee up for you, Andy, on 2021 Prizm. But somebody from the Facebook group asking about Davis Mills.
Yeah, so Davis Mills was part of my 2021 Prizm research because I there's part of me that likes Davis Mills because he's a 5-star high school recruit, and he was incredible in high school and in passing production and both intermediate and deep throws specifically. So he ended up committing to Stanford, a pretty prestigious school. He's a really smart guy. He's got a good head on his shoulders, but there was a lot of oddities around his college career, COVID shortened seasons, and kind of thrust into the limelight due to starting quarterback injuries. The Houston Texans actually ended up drafting him with their day 2 pick, which was pretty good. A lot of people expected him to fall even further because he just didn't have the college numbers to back up being drafted that high. And he ended up getting a start week 2 of his rookie season because Tyrod Taylor went down. Kind of a similar story to what happened to Justin Herbert in his rookie year. But Davis Mills' production was not nearly as big as what happened with Justin Herbert on the Chargers. He did have a good week. He had a really good week where Next Gen Stats pegged him when they played the New England Patriots. This was in week 5. And he actually had the best rookie quarterback performance against the Bill Belichick's Patriots defense in Bill Belichick history. So a lot of people were like, whoa. And he almost, like, for the first 3 quarters of that game, it looked like they were going to beat them. And that was kind of his coming out party, his breakout game. He also had a 44.2 deep ball completion percentage last year. So that was a QB1 numbers. That was like among the top 15 quarterbacks in the league. And so for those reasons, you kind of like him, although the rest of the team performance, the supporting cast, the offensive line is bad. Davis Mills has below average athleticism. He's not the fastest guy. He's not super mobile, but he does have very good throwing mechanics. He's got good decision-making ability. I think the Patriots could have been just kind of like thinking they were coming into a cakewalk game. They could have been party of the night before down in Houston and not taking it serious. It could have been a fluke. But Davis Mills, if you look at their opening schedule, though, Colts at home, away at the Broncos, away at the Bears. Don't like that opening schedule. But looking at his prices, Silver Prizm base between 50 and 75. This is what's interesting. The short print photo variation of the Silver Prizm. I saw an auction that went for $15, and that card's going from 15 to 35. So I think there's immediate flip potential heading into the season because I've seen Davis Mills climbing in his average draft position. He's been going earlier in fantasy drafts, which tells me that fantasy analysts and NFL analysts and people studying the NFL are getting more and more bullish on Davis Mills, which is leading to hype going into the season, right? And so I would absolutely take advantage of that right now as you can on those short print silvers and flip those heading into the season, because tough opening schedule. Texans still have a lot of holes on defense, so there could be obviously shootout scenarios any game that they're in. And I do like Brandon Cooks, Nico Collins, Brevin Jordan. They drafted John Mechie, who went to Alabama and was pretty solid. There's a possession-style receiver. So I like the weapons, you know, that's my take on Davis Mills.
Yeah, I think Davis Mills, for me, is a great example of why you would buy, say, a 2021 hanger box, even on the secondary market, and hold it as a sealed investment potentially, because I don't know that I would bet on a Davis Mills single unless you get it unless you can make sure you get it at a really good price. Sniping an auction, Andy, I know you do your weekly auction sniper at the Football Card Quest premium version and everything like that. So I know if anyone out there wants to check out what Andy's doing in his premium stuff, do that, because there might be a Davis Mills auction that he throws your way. I think that would fit. I think maybe if you're at a card show and you see a Davis Mills card from somebody just trying to move it, someone who's doesn't really care about Davis Mills or believe in him, I think that could be another way to invest in him. But other than those two scenarios where you're going to get a deal on him, to me, he's an example of why would you not take that even $15 to $40 to $50 that would cost you to get a solid Davis Mills card and put that into a Prizm blaster on the secondary market and just keep it sealed. I mean, to each his own, but I think then you've got the ability to say, hey, there's also Lance and Fields and Mac Jones and Wilson and everybody else in that product, Jamar Chase, everybody. If you rip a Davis Mills, I like the idea of maybe holding him till week 1 and see what's happening and selling him. But to me, he's a little bit of a risky longer term guy. He's number 28 on the Sports Card Investment Report, so that's my overall take on him. So I want to ask you just a couple other questions about like 2021 Prizm singles that would make sense to buy now. Are you seeing anything other than your phenomenal example? You gave a phenomenal example earlier on in the show of a short print silver photo variation in the blaster skew specifically, that's a long-term, that you think is a long-term play. Anything, say, parallels or numbered that are going to hold value long-term from a singles perspective? So, I mean, I'm looking at recent sales, and there's not a whole lot that's sticking out, but there are obviously the orange discos. I see a Kyle Trask and a Trevor Lawrence orange disco sales. I see a Tom Brady, that's obviously the 2021 Tom Brady. Not sure how you feel about that, but I know obviously like the golds out of 10 are going to be super expensive, depending on the player that you're looking at, but they're obviously going to hold value long term, right? So are there anything that you see that you would say, okay, hey, here's a singles investment, whether it's like I said, whether it's like a green pulsar, a pink, obviously a gold, a numbered, anything. What's your philosophy on this year's product with those?
Yeah, I think it's really important, especially in football card market. I see a ton of liquidity around color match cards. And one of the nice things that Prizm did this year is a lot of those color match short print color parallels, whether it's the wave design or the cracked ice or the scope, a lot of them are serial numbered. So I would be targeting, even if it's out of $299 or $199 or $99, I'd be targeting those guys in auction color matched. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to get, like, for example, Rashad Bateman on the Baltimore Ravens in a green Prizm, that doesn't look good. Green and purple just don't really go together. Maybe like if you're the Joker, it's like then, but otherwise, like they make a purple cracked ice, they make a purple wave, or there's a lot of teams like the Detroit Lions, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, just his silver prism alone, or Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams on the Denver Broncos, and I absolutely love their opening schedule. I think we're going to see a big market pop from Javonte Williams and the Denver Broncos. That game could go either way, but a lot of people think that Nathaniel Hackett coming in from Green Bay, a former offensive coordinator for Green Bay, is going to allow Russ to throw more. But if you look back at his numbers in Green Bay, it's been very balanced. And Aaron Rodgers has historically played kind of slow. So it'll be really interesting. I think that's the most ambiguous offense to project this year heading into 2022. But they open up against the Seahawks. It's a total revenge game. It's Monday night. It's week 1. Monday Night Football against the Seahawks. The Seahawks love to play slow. They're one of the slowest teams in the NFL. They still have Pete Carroll. They're going to play slow. They drafted Ken Walker, your guy from Michigan State. So another really good running back, really good in between the tackles, outside the tackles, great running back. If Rashad Penny's healthy, another great running back. So that's Pete Carroll's mindset, is just to run the ball, which is going to lead to a slow game. So Denver could do the same thing in response, and we could see Javonte Williams, who led the NFL in forced missed tackles broken last year, have some really big plays. He's still going to split time with Melvin Gordon, but the guy is a bruiser. I mean, he's an absolute bruiser who can drag 2-3 defenders on his back, and he's still very young. It's only his second year. So orange serial numbered short print stuff for Javonte Williams, like under $30, is really nice. The short print silver variation stuff that are like selling for less than the base silver stuff, I absolutely love as well heading into the season.
Phenomenal. Toa, are you a Sparty? That's amazing. He says Kenneth Walker is a B Sparty on. I love that. Ziggy's got a couple questions real quick before I ask you my next question about Prizm. So Ziggy wants to know sleeper team to make the playoffs that no one's talking about. I love this question because this is kind of where I start when I think about what can be some sneaky card plays to make. Because obviously if there's a sleeper team to make the playoffs that no one's talking about, you look at their quarterback, and you start to kind of project what could happen from there. So let's take a little bit of a left turn, Andy, and give us some thoughts on this, because I know you do a lot of research and you probably have some great thoughts here.
Yeah, so one team that I've been looking at a lot, who's my dark horse candidate to potentially even, like, it would really shock a lot of people if they won their division, but it's absolutely possible. This is the Detroit Lions.
Whoa, nice.
Detroit hat. This is totally unbiased, as I've watched the Detroit Lions really struggle for many, many years. But what they've been doing, building in the trenches, building the offensive line, building the defensive line. Jared Goff has been to a Super Bowl with Sean McVay. He's a former #1 overall pick. So it's like there's a reason why he's there. They're sticking with him. They've also got incredible weapons. They'll be getting Jameson Williams, who's arguably, he thinks he's the fastest guy in the NFL, even faster than Tyreek Hill. He's coming off an ACL tear from the championship game last year with Alabama. But when they do get him back, they're going to have Jameson Williams, DJ Chark, who is a phenom athlete from LSU and himself, who's still young, Amon-Ra St. Brown, TJ Hawkinson, who's one of the best receiving tight ends in the league, DeAndre Swift, is like a mix between Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley when he's healthy. The offensive line, they've continued to put in first-round draft picks there. So across the board, they have above-average grades with some elite pieces. I mean, the Detroit Lions last year were only projected to win 3 games, and they didn't really come alive to like week 11 or whenever that was. Amon-Ra St. Brown caught that game-winning touchdown pass to beat the Vikings at the last second of the game. But this year, Vegas is projecting them to win 6.5. And so we see a clear increase there in projected win totals, and they could surprise people and potentially, make a wild card run this year.
Awesome. Well, Ziggy likes to pick. He says golf prices would have to move if the Lions win or make the playoffs. And they would. I agree. I mean, I think that is a setup right there for some golf prices to increase if that does in fact happen. And Andy's on fire, man. I mean, picking my Detroit Lions, I've seen one playoff win, in the last, 60 or 70 years, something like that. No exaggeration. So we're due. We're due. And Toa, this explains something. I'm going to have to let Kendall know about this because Toa's brought it strong on some sports card strategy shows in the comments. He is a Michigan State alum, which those of you listening on Spotify and Apple probably don't care about, but I care about. This explains why he's amazing, because he is a Michigan State alum like myself. So what about the Minnesota Vikings? Because I'm looking at, speaking of Michigan State, I'm looking at my guy Kirk Cousins. Is it time for some price movement on Kirk Cousins? Could the Minnesota Vikings be my sleeper team to make the playoffs that nobody's really talking about?
It could be, man. And it would come at the cost of the Detroit Lions potentially, because they're in the same division. It's like the Green Bay Packers are there, so and you can't rule them out. I do expect them to kind of regress a little bit, losing Davante Adams and Nathaniel Hackett. Rodgers has already alluded to it a couple times in press conferences that he just may not be able to carry the offense. And so I expect regression there. Their defense should still be really good. But when we look at the Minnesota Vikings, I mean, I absolutely love what they're doing with this team, man. The weapons are incredible. Kirk Cousins has always been a phenomenal pocket passer, and people haven't historically given him the credit that is due to him, maybe partially because he's kind of he's really struggled playing on Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, these primetime games. His record is like really bad. Like for a while there, it was like, I mean, it was really bad. So there's a little bit of a stigma around that. But, you know, Mike Zimmer, I don't think was doing them any favors. And now you bring in Kevin O'Donnell, who's the former offensive coordinator from the Rams, and that's a Super Bowl team. So bringing Kevin O'Donnell, he's going to bring in a lot of that Sean McVay philosophy. They're going to play faster. They're going to throw the ball more. And I love Justin Jefferson, arguably the best wide receiver in the league. I really like KJ Osborne. Adam Thielen's older, but he's a touchdown machine. Really like Irv Smith, who's got a lot of potential as a tight end. I like Amir Marcette, who's a second-year player, who's one of my sleeper pickups that you can find 2021 silver prisms on for like dirt cheap. And Amir Marcette has got a very interesting athletic profile from college, and the speed that he's got and his ability to win against man coverage and stuff like that, it makes for a very interesting deep sleeper play there. And Dalvin Cook is still in the backfield. And Alexander Madison's a great handcuff. I like the Vikings' ability to potentially make the playoffs this year. And getting Kirk Cousins rookie card, like base Prizm card, you can get that card for like $10 or less. And I know it's in a Redskins logo uniform and stuff, and that's very polarizing from the uniform and the color scheme that he's in now. So I would also look at 2018 Kirk Cousins is the first year he's on the Vikings. You can find some incredibly rare Kirk Cousins. Like we found a 25 out of 25 National Treasures 2018 Kirk Cousins in Vikings uniform for like less than $20. So Paul, that was a fantastic deal. I feel like there's some value in finding Kirk Cousins in Vikings uniform stuff that is very rare, potentially autographed, serial numbered, stuff like that. Definitely stick to very rare serial numbered stuff. You're targeting those veteran cards of a guy like Kirk Cousins, but I think there's a lot of liquidity there. I see a lot of sold transactions for those cards of him.
Cool. Yeah, I think KJ Osborne, a name you mentioned, I think that's a great sleeper call. I'll look into Amir Marcette. Encourage everybody out there to look into him as well. Andy knows what he's talking about. We might have to add him to the sports card investment report at no offseason. Jefferson is number 18. I believe in him. I believe that he's a guy that could get overshadowed by some of the hype of the 2021 rookie class, this new Prizm release, things like that. I think he's an example of a guy you go back a year, and he's obviously going to be a level down from the quarterback pricing. So if you believe in the Minnesota Vikings at all, back to Ziggy's question on sleepers to make the playoffs, I kind of do, over my Detroit Lions, unfortunately. But I like Andy's Detroit Lions call. So Toa's stashing some Kellen Mond. So let's to that end, there are a lot of rookie QBs from a year ago. Ziggy had a question about the top 5. Which ones have the biggest upside, and which one has the biggest downside of sort of the top 5? So you're looking at everyone drafted from Davis Mills on down, I believe is what he's talking about. So Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields. Mac Jones. I guess
Yeah.
Mac Jones, that would be the big five. I think Mills is 6. Is that right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. Which one has the biggest downside, Andy?
I honestly, I probably have to say Mac Jones, because he's arguably the most expensive one to buy into right now. And I just, you look at the Patriots schedule, look at the Patriots roster. I think that his Mac Jones values going up, continuing to rise from where they're at now, have several wins baked into them already. And his values rising are going to be contingent upon them continuing to win and continuing to make the playoffs. And so I really I think Mac Jones' values could very well go down because it seems like Bill Belichick, whether it's him calling the plays, I mean, what it looks like,
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna run the ball again. And so I think Mac Jones is kind of a game manager. And I don't know. I think they're kind of setting themselves up. The Dolphins, they play week 1, have above average secondary. And that's going to be a tough game for them right there. Week 1, week 2, they play the Steelers, another really good defense. Week 3, they play the Ravens, is another really good defense. So I don't know. I think Mac Jones has probably got the one that's the easiest path to going down in value out of the gate.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. Now, I'm going to give you mine with the biggest upside, and I'm going to see if you agree or disagree, and then tell me who you think has the biggest upside. I think Trevor Lawrence. I'm going Trevor Lawrence with the biggest upside because I think he has the market that believed in him as the number 1 overall pick coming out of Clemson last year. He has all the hype of everything that you could want out of any rookie quarterback, from the tops release to the all of the media coverage down in Jacksonville, positive and negative. And he played a full 17-game season. He threw a lot of interceptions, but he stayed healthy. He hung in the pocket. And I think he probably did as well as any quarterback would have done in that situation last year. And there's a lot of things to be excited about down in Jacksonville with Doug Peterson, Travis Etienne coming back. Some new weapons around him. Nobody really off the charts. But I think that it's a fresh start in year 2 for Trevor Lawrence. Everyone's going to reference Peyton Manning's first year didn't look that great either. So what do you think of Trevor? I think his pricing, I mean, if you think about what Herbert and Burrow did in their rookie year, other than Burrow's injury, he played well and then he came back his second year, right? So with Herbert and Burrow's strong starts, and we've seen other rookie QBs come in and do well in recent years, if Trevor would have played well last year, it would have been in a different situation. I think his pricing would be 10x from where it is now. So if you think about it in that regard, could it 10x? I mean, I think it would take wins. It would take some playoff wins. It would take a real. I don't know that it could 10x.
I don't think it would take that much, Paul, to be honest with you, because of the draft pedigree. Being a number 1 overall draft pick, especially in the modern day era, like Joe Burrow was, like Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, they get a much longer leash. You're allowed to get away with more and lose more and still come back and have this explosion of hype because you're a former number 1 overall draft pick and you were so highly touted in college as the next Peyton Manning, the best prospect we've seen since Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning. So it's like he has had a ton of hype for him. And I think, you could chalk up year 1 to just a scratch and erase it and start over this year with totally new coaching. I think a lot of that is blamed on Urban Meyer, and they're getting a fresh start with Doug Peterson. And I think you're right. I think you're right. Dead on, Paul. They play the Commanders week 1. They win that game and Trevor looks okay. We're going to see the values go up. There's already a ton of volatility. Like I was talking about the silver Prizm. I've seen that card selling, and typically you can pinpoint the market down for a specific card that's got a lot of transactions, like 20 or so at least transactions a week. you can pinpoint that market down in like a $20 to $30 variance. I've seen Trevor Lawrence silver Prizm cards selling anywhere between $100 and $170. Confirmed transactions that I actually looked up and looked at the condition and the photos and everything. 100 to 170. So it's like some people are reaching, already buying into that hype. Some people are still like ripping him out of a pack and thinking he's not that good or not going to be that great because they're on the Jags. Really difficult AFC. Maybe they just want to go ahead and take whatever they can get for him. I think it's important to like, maybe we should capitalize now on these cards being ripped by breakers and rippers and just thrown onto eBay for $100 for a silver Prizm and jump on that, because week 1 they beat the Commanders. That's an immediate hype boost. We could see those cards immediately spike in value. And then week 2, you get the Colts. And what if they do beat the Colts and then they beat the Chargers? If they were to go 3-0, yeah, Paul, I think you could see that card 10x. It's possible. Now, are they going to beat the Colts and the Chargers? That's going to be really difficult. I know the odds aren't in their favor, but if he does pull that off somehow, that would be insane. It would be a ton of hype.
Yeah, I love it. I love Trevor. I think sometimes I'm guilty of digging too far for sleepers when something's right under my nose, just like ready to take. And I think Trevor could be one of those guys, because when you and Carter had me on your show last week, and that was a ton of fun, and you guys asked me a couple questions. One was about like the most liquid cards, and I said silver Prizm rookies. And so I think you're right. Like with all these now kind of Prizm being out gives us all the opportunity to be like, okay, now pretty much everything investable is out, right? Other than maybe your national treasures or your flawless or whatever. But everything like within reach for everybody is out. And so now that being said, you've got the opportunity to go get a Trevor Lawrence silver Prizm for a pretty affordable price. Everyone might already be tired of seeing Trevor Lawrence cards, and that could be a reason why that card's affordable. Well, go get that now, and then football starts up again. This guy has a couple good games. We're on the same page with that. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move.